for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
Welcome, Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. Steven Jodder here in Madison, Armand Kafai in Dallas, Texas, and boy, do we have a show for you.
Yeah, we talked to Hugo Perez, and we talked about a lot of issues, including the Jonathan Gonzalez saga, which has been a hot topic in U.S. soccer today.
Yeah, we also talk about the being a dual national and kind of where U.S. soccer is trending too. But let's get to it. He has 73 caps for the U.S. men's national team. He's a U.S. Soccer Hall of Famer. He helped qualify for the 1990 World Cup. He played at the 1994 World Cup. He's a former U.S. men's national team youth coach. It's Hugo Perez. Welcome to the program, Hugo.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for having me on your program today. I'm looking forward to chat a little bit about soccer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. You messaged us, and you said you had to go coach a game. How'd y'all do? Did y'all win?
Yeah, we had like a futsal tournament for the academy. So it was one of our coaches got sick, so I had to fill out for him. But everything's good. Everything's good.
Oh, awesome.
That's awesome, Hugo. But let's just jump straight into it. In October, we sadly saw the U.S. men's national team not qualify for the World Cup since 1986, and you were around in 1986 when that actually happened. What's the difference when it happened then to when it happened back in October?
Well, it's hard to compare the 86 with what happened this past year because in 86, it was difficult. Obviously, the NASL had folded. If you guys remember, the NASL folded in 1984. So we were playing MISL, which was the Indoor Professional League. So we didn't have an outdoor league, basically. And the way it's funny, but the way we lost at home. 1-0, and we had tied Costa Rica, I think 1-1 or 0-0 in Costa Rica. So I think it was 1-1. We all need, for the second game at home, we just needed to tie a 0-0, and then we would have gone through to the last round. But unfortunately, we lost in a corner kick, I think it was. And basically we got, we didn't make the final round and to the World Cup. And the other thing, which I don't know if you guys remember, but in the old times, it was difficult to qualify for the World Cup because only 2 teams were from CONCACAF. Yeah, now it's obviously much easier. So it's very hard to compare. Obviously, this, after that, obviously we've been qualifying for the World Cup since '90, except for this one now. It's going to be in Russia, and I'm sure it was a big disappointment. It was disappointment because obviously all the tools are there. They have a professional league. Some of those players are playing in Europe now.
Right.
So it was very, very disappointing for the guys not to qualify.
From the federation standpoint in 86, was there anything that had changed?
From the 86, you mean?
Yes, in 86, after you guys did fail to qualify, had there been any change from the federation hoping that they could qualify for the next cycle?
Well, obviously, in 90, we were able to qualify, which is funny because at that time, Trinidad and Tobago needed a tie to go to the World Cup, and we went there and just score we took a shot and we scored a goal, and we ended up qualifying. They were supposed to only tie or win to go through, and we took one shot. Boca Jury made it, and we were able to hold the 1-0, and then we went to the World Cup. And obviously, things have changed in the sense that nowadays the national team is a priority thing. And I remember in '86 and '90, obviously 90% of those guys in '90 were college guys. They were not even professionals. And now you look at the national team and all the money they spend and how they prepare themselves. All these guys are, and obviously all of them are professional players playing in different leagues in the world or here in America. So it's hard to imagine that we're out of the World Cup, and then you take into account more teams qualify now than they did in 1990, or '86. So, yeah, it was disappointing. Has it changed? Yeah, it's changed because of all the things that I just mentioned. But then you measure and you say, well, it is a big disappointment, but also it's catastrophe in the sense that they had everything.
Right.
To be able to go to Russia and not to do it is bad.
Hugo, what do you think was the problem throughout that cycle? What stood out to you when watching them play, or was there something behind the scenes that was a problem for them not to qualify for the World Cup?
Well, I mean, I think I can only tell you for what I saw, and obviously you hear certain things. I think that I think Senio made a mistake probably in signing Jurgen for the second cycle without basically evaluating what they had done in the previous World Cup. Obviously, I always say this thing, you can qualify for World Cups and you can win games in the World Cups, but it is important how you win games and how you qualify. What is the most important thing is not only sometimes about the winning. Yeah, I understand that because they're going to the World Cup and all this and that, but for me, it's more than that, because even after that, the World Cup, the first cycle with Jurgen, I think there were a lot of things that were, for me, looking at the team and the way they play, were not things that you could jump back and forth and say, wow, they were awesome and this and that. I mean, we were lacking certain games, and that's without taking the effort of the players. But there were issues. But I guess they didn't. They rushed to sign him again, and because he had, gone into the round that he went with in the World Cup qualify. But sometimes that's not enough. You still have to look at every cycle, and even if you qualify for the World Cup, you still have to evaluate how we got there and how we did in each game, and what were the pluses and the minuses, and what were the things that we could have done better, and going forward for the next cycle before you sign somebody else, is it worth it? So many other things that go into it that I don't think they pay attention to that.
Hugo, do you think it was the youth the problem for not qualifying for the World Cup?
No, because look, everybody has their own responsibility, I think. But we're also, where I think things started, again, this is my personal feeling for what I saw, after the first cycle with Jurgen, was that the team had not been playing well. They had been getting good results to a certain degree, but there was a lot of issues there. And then obviously the second cycle started, and they got some good scores, but the team wasn't functioning well. And obviously there were issues, I understand, inside the team. And it would be very unfair to just say, well, it was Bruce Arena not qualifying, because this team was already down before he got the team. And I would have to, the accountability of the previous coach has to do a lot with it, because, he got let go because basically it was a disaster towards the end. And they had to make a change, and Bruce came, and He was there because obviously he had the experience, according to them, that he could take this team to the World Cup. Now, yeah, we had a lot of senior players now, players who had been into 2, 3 World Cups. But I still think that team, with Jurgen or without Jurgen or with Bruce, they had enough players to pull it through. Mm-hmm. Okay, but again, when you go through what that team went through, a lot of players were not happy with Jurgen. Sometimes you felt that when the team played, you don't know what they were playing at. Basically, I don't know sometimes what style to play or what system they were playing. It was a confusion.
Right.
I mean, so many issues that started, after the second cycle was given to Jurgen.
Hugo, we've been hearing all about the U.S. Soccer presidency and how they'll provide change. Do you think any of those candidates will provide us the change that we actually need?
Well, look, I read some of the comments that obviously some of the candidates have made. Some have good ideas, some have okay ideas. But the issue is not of what you say. I think internally U.S. soccer needs a change. Because at the end, when you don't qualify for a World Cup and you don't qualify for the Olympics 2 times, and the under-17s, there was a cycle that didn't qualify. So that means that you need to make a change. You need something new. You need a new vision. You need new people with different ideas. I think on the soccer side, especially financially, I understand U.S. soccer has about $150 million in the bank, right? So I guess if you call it as something that they've done administratively well, maybe that's one of the things. But at the end, also the product that you put on the pitch is the most important thing for me in that sense. Also, because without it, you don't get any money. And like I said before, since they've been qualifying to every World Cup, obviously money was coming in, but we never realized the reality of our football and the base of it. We were struggling for a long time. And again, I don't want to blame the players. People say, well, the players didn't run, the players didn't do this. Yeah, the players had something, but I mean, if the leadership is not the proper one, as much as you have a lot of talent in a team, it's not going to work. You need to have an idea. You need to have a vision, what type of players you're going to have, what type of players you can bring, what type of players are the ones that are going to be able to work in a plan that the coach wants. And I think that was a big problem because it was always a chaos. It was so disorganized sometimes when they play, and a lot of the, I would say results they got was because we still have decent players in our national team. That's why for me it's hard to believe that we're not in the World Cup.
Do you have a specific coach you would like to see in charge of the U.S. men's national team?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this on Twitter. I might be crazy, but I think Marcelo Bielsa is the one that I feel. And the reason, people ask me, well, I don't think he can get used to this or that. And I'll tell you something. In '94, when we got Bora, right, everybody said, well, Bora's, Yugoslavian, but he's like a Mexican. I don't think he can, he doesn't know the language, and I don't think he's going to be able to, mentally prepare the American players and this and that. And it wasn't true. One thing that I have to recognize with Bora was when he came in, he said, look, we're going to play a different way. We're going to play a different style. We're going to be able to hold to the ball more. I want technical players. I want players who are creative. And he brought those players.